many miles would a human have to run to fully charge a Tesla? We're about to find out because Eric challenged me and my engineering abilities to create a human-sized hamster wheel capable of charging a Tesla. Together, we're opening a fake Tesla exhibit called Tesla Labs and planning to harness the power of complete strangers while they try to work out and I try to explain the science.
That's right. He's a scientist and I'm just a YouTuber.
But is this even possible? And if so, how much power do you need? Is it half of a horsepower or perhaps a full horse?
I don't think she liked my joke. But what is a horsepower? Well, it dates back to the 18th century when a Scottish engineer named James Watt ran experiments to compare the power of the common horse to the newer technology of the steam engine. He measured the weight that a horse could move at 1 foot per second and later determined that it equaled 746 electrical watts. And it just so happens that the minimum charge rate to add 3 miles is almost 1 horsepower.
So in theory, if we built this horse and machine, it would be able to charge the Tesla to go about 3 miles in 1 hour.
All right, let's plug you in. But how does the power of a human pretending to be a hamster compare to the power of a horse? To find out, my wife took our kids to the pet store to pick out a hamster while I built them a wheel to power up music, bubbles, and disco lights in their play fort. If they want to have a bubble disco dance party, then they have to charge up their fort by running on this wheel.
When I wake up in the morning light, I pull on my jeans and I feel alright. I pull my boots.
It works because there's a motor beneath the wheel that charges up a battery using a charge controller normally used for solar panels. When you power a motor, it spins. But the opposite is also true. If instead you spin the motor, it will generate electric power. The faster it spins, the more power it generates. To monitor power, I programmed a small computer hooked up to a sensor board which measures and displays the power per second and shows a 0 to 1 minute progress bar for charging the fort.
All right. What do you think?
What do you see?
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah!
When I wake up in the morning light.
The power required for the speakers, lights, and bubbles is about 25 watts, which isn't a lot compared to the 600 needed for the Tesla.
Oh, it ran out. You gotta run again.
So to charge the fort for 1 minute, they need to generate 25 watts for 60 seconds or 50 watts for 30 seconds, or somewhere in between. My son was able to generate up to 50 watts on the wheel while running. Because a Tesla requires a minimum of 600 watts, it would take my kids at least 4 hours to generate enough power to add just a single mile to the Tesla, which isn't very promising for how quickly Eric wants to charge the Tesla in his video. But it's technically possible, and if we double the wheel perimeter, then it would also double the speed of the motor, and we could probably add more motors with the extra momentum on a larger wheel.
And with that concept, I'm on my way to meet with Eric and his team
To start building a hamster wheel for full-sized people.
This is the weirdest thing in the world. This is crazy.
Because this is going into the fake Tesla labs, where a bunch of athletes will think it's an actual Tesla product, it absolutely must look like it was made by Elon Musk himself. To accomplish this, I tried to make the platform look like a Cybertruck window, and I changed the display to show total added mileage instead of watts.
That's Ryan Trahan in pennies.
I also added a Hall effect sensor to detect the number of rotations so we'd know exactly how far each person would run. And with that, I cut the wheel in half so it would fit in the truck and brought it with me to the Tesla labs to see if it would work and how many miles it would add to Eric's Tesla. As people started arriving, Eric told them that he was Elon Musk's #1 salesman, which made me Elon Musk's #1 engineer. So I stood there for over an hour pretending to be important and watched complete strangers acting like absolute hamsters. And after an hour, the wheel was still working. And what started out as a totally over-engineered joke turned into people giving actual product advice and recommending we bring it to market. Together, they ran more than 5 miles and generated almost 1 mile of range to Airax's Tesla. The power output of the bigger wheel ranged between 1 to 200 watts, and it would take over 2,000 continuous miles of a human running on a hamster wheel to fully charge a Tesla, which is something that a horse would laugh at and a hamster would be proud of.